the 9,000-year-old Chinese soil secret that still beats modern fertilizer. If you've ever felt frustrated watching bagged fertilizers burn your seedlings, while your neighbor's compost heap seem to magically produce lush, vibrant plants, you're not alone. Modern fertilizers promise quick results with bold nutrient numbers. But what if the most powerful soil amendment wasn't invented in a lab at all? What if it was discovered nearly 9,000 years ago in ancient China, and still outperforms synthetic solutions for gardeners who understand it? Welcome to Roots Haven Grounds, where we dig deeper into timeless wisdom so your soil becomes not just fertile, but alive. Today we're exploring an ancient Chinese soil secret that modern agriculture is only now beginning to appreciate and rediscover. The soil problem: why modern fertilizers aren't enough. Most conventional fertilizers focus on 3 macronutrients: nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium. On the surface, that sounds great. Plants need those elements, but real healthy soil is far more complex. It's a living ecosystem that thrives on micronutrients, organic matter, microbial diversity, and nutrient cycling. Modern fertilizers often disrupt soil microbial life, provide nutrients too quickly, create dependency so plants stop mining nutrients naturally, and lead to nutrient imbalances. For many gardeners, this feels like a constant tug-of-war: fertilize to get growth, but then fight pests and poor soil structure later. Enter the ancient Chinese approach. A glimpse back in time: what ancient Chinese farmers got right. About 9,000 years ago, early Chinese agricultural communities began cultivating rice paddies and dry land crops along river valleys. These early farmers didn't have access to synthetic chemicals, so they learned to read the land, to work with it in harmony rather than force it. Through observation, experimentation, and generations of passed-on wisdom, they discovered that soil fertility doesn't come from dumping nutrients. It comes from fostering a living system. They developed what we now call natural soil amendments, including media group, traditional Chinese composting piles, hands applying fermented plant extracts to soil, authentic composting methods in ancient Chinese gardens, stock distribute equally, composting methods, fermented plant extracts, and biological soil conditioning that supports beneficial microbes, stable nutrient releases, improved water retention, and stronger plant immune systems. The ancient Chinese didn't separate soil care from plant care. They were one and the same. One of the most remarkable elements of this tradition is something that has modern soil scientists buzzing: microbe-rich organic amendments that feed the soil and the plant simultaneously, long before terms like microbiome existed. The soil's secret: living organic matter and fermentation. The heart of this ancient wisdom is simple but powerful. Feed the soil biology first, and the soil will feed your plants. Instead of relying solely on chemical fertilizers, Chinese farmers built fertility through high-quality compost, not just kitchen scraps, but well-aged plant material, manure, and mineral-rich organic matter. Fermented plant extracts: think of what we now call compost tea, fermented plant juices, and liquid microbial inoculants. Cover cropping and green manures: growing crops not for harvest, but to add organic matter and root exudates to the soil. Mulching and soil cover, to keep soil structure intact and microbial life thriving. Let's unpack these a bit more so you can apply them straight to your garden. Feeding the soil, not just the plant, is really where it all begins. High-quality compost is truly the foundation of a thriving garden. You know, modern gardeners often underestimate compost, but ancient Chinese farmers knew that compost isn't just decayed stuff. It's actually a living food source for microbes. Good compost, well, it improves texture, especially in clay and sandy soils. It adds slow-release nutrients, encourages earthworms and beneficial fungi, and even buffers pH swings. But there's definitely a right way to do it. Quality compost isn't just tossed together. It's aged properly and built with a balance of carbon, those are your browns, and nitrogen, which are your greens. When you churn a compost pile regularly, keeping moisture and airflow just right, you're creating a microbe-rich environment that becomes an organic nutrient factory. I remember one season when my tomato plants, planted in beds enriched with aged compost from the previous fall, outgrew anything I'd ever seen with bagged fertilizer. Not just taller, healthier leaves, stronger stems, better fruit set. That's the compost difference. Fermented plant extracts are kind of like an ancient brew for modern gardens. One of the most intriguing parts of ancient Chinese soil science was the use of these fermented plant extracts, basically early versions of what many gardeners today call compost tea or ferments. These brews are made by fermenting nutrient-rich plants, like comfrey, nettle, or even rice bran, with water and a little sugar to kickstart microbial growth. The result? A liquid teeming with beneficial microbes and soluble nutrients that boost soil biology, enhance nutrient uptake, and stimulate plant growth naturally. Unlike chemical fertilizers that give plants a sudden shot of nutrients, these fermented brews feed the soil ecosystem first. Healthy soil microbes then deliver nutrition to plants at the right pace. Here's a simple 3-step approach you can try at home. First, collect fresh plant material that's nutrient-rich. Comfrey works great because of its deep roots and high mineral content. Chop it into small pieces and place it in a container. Next, add water and a source of sugar, like molasses or brown sugar, to feed the microbes as they bloom. Finally, let the mixture ferment for a week or two in a warm spot, stirring occasionally. Once fermented, dilute it, roughly 1 to 10 with water, and apply it to your soil or as a foliar spray. You'll start to notice healthier greens and stronger growth within just a few weeks. Cover crops and green manures are nature's fertilizers, and they're another trick ancient Chinese farmers used. They would plant crops not for harvest, but simply to improve the soil. These are called cover crops or green manures. Plants like clover, vetch, rye, or buckwheat serve multiple purposes. They build organic matter as they grow, their roots break up compacted soil, they support beneficial microbes and insects, and they protect soil from erosion. Once these plants are mature, you cut them down and either turn them into the soil as a green manure or lay them on the surface as mulch. That organic matter becomes food for microbes and a natural fertilizer for the next crop. This simple practice, something ancient farmers practice season after season, is honestly one of the best ways to continually boost fertility without synthetic inputs. Mulch might seem simple, but it's honestly one of the most impactful ancient lessons that modern gardeners underuse. In ancient Chinese fields, rice straw and plant residues were never burned off or discarded. Instead, they were used as mulch to protect soil from erosion, reduce evaporation, stabilize soil temperatures, and, of course, feed soil organisms. In your garden, applying a layer of organic mulch, like straw, leaves, or grass clippings, does much the same thing. Over time, the mulch breaks down and becomes part of your soil's food web. When I first started mulching my vegetable beds, I thought it was only about weed suppression. But, over the first season, I saw deeper, darker soil, more earthworms and crops that didn't need as much watering. That's mulch feeding life. Synthetic fertilizers can deliver fast results, but, they often do so at the cost of soil life. Ancient Chinese soil wisdom, by contrast, focuses on building living soil that works with nature rather than against it. That means steadier, longer-lasting fertility, healthier plants resistant to pests and disease, better water efficiency, and a reduced need for repeat fertilization. Gardeners who adopt these principles often report not just bigger yields but healthier ecosystems, a garden that literally nurtures itself over time. You don't have to be an expert to begin using these ancient principles. Start with compost, build a compost pile, pay attention to balance, moisture, and airflow, give it time to mature and become your soil's best friend. Next, experiment with fermented plant extracts. Try brews with comfrey or nettle and watch how your plants respond. Plant cover crops during off-seasons. You'll be amazed how much organic matter and fertility you can build in months rather than years. Finally, mulch everything. Let the soil stay protected and teeming with life. These aren't abstract concepts. They're real, practical methods that thousands of gardeners have used to transform their soil without relying on harsh chemicals. Modern gardening often chases quick fixes, but real, lasting soil fertility comes from understanding and working with nature. The ancient Chinese farmers knew this intuitively. They saw soil not as dirt to be manipulated, but as a living system to be nurtured. When we adopt that mindset, our gardens flourish in ways that bagged fertilizers simply can't replicate. The soil becomes fertile, resilient, and alive, with a richness that shows in every leaf, blossom, and harvest. If you found value in this deep dive into ancient soil wisdom and want more actionable gardening guidance, make sure to subscribe to Roots Haven Grounds, share this article with your fellow gardeners, and together let's grow gardens that thrive for generations. Oh, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. Your garden and soil life will thank you.